Hey guys, before we get into the video, I want to let you know I'm doing commissions now. That's right, that means I'm doing drawings for you. If you guys want me to do a drawing for you, like you and Timmy Turner granting somebody a wish, or you and Danny Phantom fighting like 10 ghosts, or maybe drawing one of your characters, anything else, a Marvel character, any comic book character of any kind, anything you want me to draw, let me know, and just click the link down below in the description. That's right, doing drawings for you. Hey Hart fans, my name is Butch Hartman. It kind of sounds like the same thing. Anyway, that really hurt. Hey guys, how's it going? Yes, that's true. Butch Hartman, Cartoon Network. How does that work? What does that mean? What is the meaning of that sentence? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means that, yes, before I got to Nickelodeon, after 20 years, you can watch the video of me leaving Nickelodeon where I explain it. We have a link here somewhere up around. But check that out. But I did work at Cartoon Network before I got to Nickelodeon. I started working at Cartoon Network before it became Cartoon Network. It wasn't even called Cartoon Network at the time. It was called Hanna-Barbera Studios. You guys know Hanna-Barbera, right? If you guys are cartoon fans and cartoon nerds like I am, you know all about Hanna-Barbera. They're the studio that made the Flintstones and Space Ghost, and there's the Jetsons, there's Huckleberry Hound, there's Yogi Bear, there's the Hair Bear Bunch, Top Cat, all these amazing cartoons from the 1960s, the cartoons that I grew up with, and in the 1970s too. They made the Super Friends, they made the Harlem Globetrotters cartoon, they made pretty much, oh, and Scooby-Doo. Let's not forget Scooby-Doo. Ruby-Roo! Don't forget about that cartoon as well. The Scooby Snack was made at Hanna-Barbera. That's right. I could go for a Scooby Snack right about now. We have any Scooby Snacks around here? Nothing? So I get there and I'm working at Hanna-Barbera, and the first show they put me on is Fish Police. What? I know. Yes, I know it sounds like an amazing idea for a show. Fish that are cops? Come on. We should really remake that actually. But anyway, I worked on storyboards for Fish Police. It was an animated TV show for prime time. There was another TV show they were doing for prime time at the time called Capital Critters, and it was about these animals in Washington, D.C. Nothing better than animated animals and politics, I always say, because kids love politics. And I'm kind of just there doing my storyboard thing, and I'm like, there's got to be something more. There must be something more to this. There has to be something more to this studio I'm working at. So then they put me on a show called Tom and Jerry Kids. That's right. If you thought Fish Police was funny, Tom and Jerry Kids. We take Tom and Jerry and we make them kids. Because back then in the late 80s, early 90s, there were a lot of shows based on famous properties, making them into babies. Muppet Babies is the culprit. If you don't like this video, it's because of Muppet Babies. You can blame Muppet Babies for a lot of things. So anyway, Muppet Babies causes this big craze. We're gonna make animals into little babies, so they take Tom and Jerry, make them into kids. I start working on that show as a prop designer. Basically, if Tom picks up a salt shaker, I draw the salt shaker. If Tom picks up a hammer, I draw the hammer. I'm just saying, you guys get it, right? That's what I do. That's what I'm doing. That's Butch Hartman. And then they put me on the character designs on that show for a little bit. And then I was on another show called Droopy, Master Detective. You know, the character of Droopy. Hello, everybody. He talks like this. And he was so popular in the 1940s, they decided to make him a Master Detective in the 1990s. So I worked on that show as well, as a prop designer and a character designer. And I would always get my work done so fast that I would pretty much, they'd give me a list of things to do on Monday. I'd have the whole week to do them. But I was such a fast artist, I get them all done, get them all approved by like Tuesday. And I would just do my own stuff for the rest of the week. I read a lot of books too at the time. There was no internet. Imagine this, a world with no internet, no phone. So I finished working on those shows, and then one day they tell us, hey, we want you guys to come down to the parking lot. And I'm like, okay. So the whole studio goes down to the parking lot. We're in the parking lot, standing outside, and the richest man in the world walks up. Richest man in the world at the time, or one of the richest men in the world at the time, comes into the parking lot, and he's on a big platform with a podium, and it's Ted Turner. If you've never heard of Ted Turner, you should have, because he owns the Turner Broadcasting Network. They own CNN, a lot of things you've heard of. So Ted Turner's there, and it's kind of amazing. He was kind of a big celebrity back then. So he's standing there, and he announces that Ted Turner, Turner Networks, has just bought Hanna-Barbera. And they're going to be turning it into this magical place called, drumroll, Cartoon Network. That's right. So they're going to take over the entire Hanna-Barbera library and meld it into this thing called Cartoon Network, and they're going to start making original productions there, original cartoons for kids, right? So that's pretty amazing. And this is Cartoon Network now, before Adventure Time, before Teen Titans Go, long time ago. This is like in the 90s. So we're all standing there like, wow, we get to make original cartoons now. That's interesting, because back then, you have to understand something. You couldn't just walk into a studio and make your own cartoon. You always had to work on someone else's show. So now we're all excited. We all have the chance to make our own cartoons now. And so they hired a guy named Fred Seibert, who you can see his name as the exec producer on Fairly Odd Parents. Fred came in to run the new Cartoon Network / Hanna-Barbera company now. So Fred starts taking pitches from all of us. And one guy who pitched the show is named Craig McCracken. He pitched a show called Powerpuff Girls. One guy's name was Gendy Tartakovsky, and he pitched a show called Dexter's Laboratory. One guy's name was David Feast, and he pitched a show called Cow and Chicken. One guy's name was Butch Hartman. I pitched a show called Shake and Flick with a couple of my friends. Guess which one didn't get picked up? That's right, my show, Shake and Flick. It was about this dog and a flea who went to ancient Rome. It's kind of interesting. You should check it out. We worked on a show after that called Fish and Chip, and that was about a giant shark and a lynx that worked for the bomb squad. I still think that'd be a great show. I really, really do. I would love to see that made. We made 2 episodes of Fish and Chip, and it was a lot of fun. And so we made that show. Also didn't get picked up for a series. Then I made another short cartoon called Hillbilly Blue about, check it out, you thought Fish Police was awesome. Hillbilly Blue was about a muskrat and a crawdad who go down to Louisiana. There you go. Bam. There's epic entertainment right there. And what was kind of cool though, each show I made, I'd gone to animation school and everything, and I worked in the animation business for a little bit. I never got to make my own film though. I always was assigned little pieces of each film, like do the character design, do the props, maybe do a storyboard here and there, maybe do this, maybe do that. So as I started making films again, and I had to do every single piece of the cartoon, I started realizing, okay, I'm good at this area, but I'm weak in this area. So I tried to make each weak area a lot stronger. So the series that did get picked up at that time, one was Dexter's Laboratory. One day, someone kind of yelled down the hall, hey, can anybody do backgrounds? We're really behind on our background work. And I kind of leaned out of my door like this, did that kind of thing. And I said, hey, I can do backgrounds. And they said, great, we need some background help. So I basically worked on Dexter's Laboratory as a background artist. And that was kind of fun, because drawing a laboratory background, I would just kind of, take the wall and just draw lines like little electrodes here and there. And I put like a TV monitor and a vent and like a plug and a pipe, just a mystery pipe coming from nowhere. And whammo, you've got a laboratory background. And so I did that for a while. And then they had me do some storyboards on Dexter's Laboratory. And that was a lot of fun, because I not only got to do the storyboard, I got to write the story as well. I don't recommend this for a lot of people, but sometimes it's better to have a script before you do a storyboard. On Dexter's Laboratory, they would give me a sentence, basically. They'd write out a sentence and say, Dexter and Dee Dee go into an anthill with Dexter's invention. And that was it. And then I had to write all the dialogue, come up with the story arc, and I had to do the storyboard as well. So I'm doing the storyboard, writing the dialogue, making sure the story goes, making sure it all wraps up into a nice little 7-minute package. And that was quite a challenge. And then after that, I worked on a show called Cow and Chicken with David Feast. I did some storyboards on that show. I love that style of that show. I think Cow and Chicken's a great looking show. Really funny too. Just what a funny show, and really love David Feast's art style. And then I got to work with Van Partible on a show called Johnny Bravo. Hey, baby! I get to work on that show, and on that show it was really kind of fun, because my career at that point kind of got to a little bit of a peak. I started doing writing and directing and storyboarding on Johnny Bravo, and I worked with a guy, what was his name again? Seth MacFarlane? Anyway, I don't know. He's not really going to do anything. You don't worry about his name. I think it's Seth MacFarlane, but he'll never do anything. But anyway, worked with Seth. Great guy. Had a great time writing with Seth. In fact, we wrote a show, one of the Johnny Bravo episodes he and I worked on together. He was a fellow writer. We worked on Johnny Bravo meets Adam West, and that was a lot of fun. So you should check that out if you get a chance to find it somewhere. So fun. Had a great time. And then after that, my career at Cartoon Network kind of came to an end, because Johnny Bravo was ending. And it was one of those things where I had to look for a job. And sometimes they say necessity is the mother of invention. So, meaning if you need something, you'll invent something to help you. And at the time I needed a job. I just had my first daughter, and I knew I needed to, pay the rent and stuff. So I thought I would come up with a show of my own. And I thought, this is going to be fun. I already tried to come up with some shows of my own at the time. But this time I thought I'm really going to try a little harder. And so I sat down, I drew a little boy named Timmy Turner and 2 fairy godparents, and the rest is history. Hey art fans, Butch Hartman here. How are you? Thanks for tuning in. I'm so psyched you're here. Don't forget we do videos 3 times a week now. That's right, 3 times a week. We'll try and get the other 4 days in eventually, but hang in for the 3. All right, and don't forget to subscribe. Give us a like at the end, and don't forget to leave comments down in that comment section below. Okay, Marvel Productions. That's right. I actually worked at Marvel Productions back in the day when I first got out of Cal Arts. I'd gone to Cal Arts. I took an airplane from the glorious state of Michigan when I was 18 years old. And I landed in this big place called California, and there's a place called Hollywood there and Disneyland. That's all I knew. Hollywood, Disneyland, that's all that's there. Went through Cal Arts for 3 years as an animation student. I did a short film my first year, did a short film my second year. The first year didn't have any sound to it. It was a film about a kid who gets a book off a shelf in a library. It says Dracula, and then the book turns into a bat and flies away. Okay, that was year 1. But before I get to year 2, which is super exciting, I want to let you guys know that today's video is sponsored by the publisher of Marvel Puzzle Quest. What is that, you say? What is Marvel Puzzle Quest? Let's break it down, shall we? There's Marvel, there's Puzzle, and there's Quest. So something tells me there's a puzzle quest with Marvel characters, and you'd be exactly right. It is a game. Click on the link down in the description below and get the game. It's very cool. It's free, and it gives you the chance to play as some of your favorite Marvel heroes. Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, you can be Black Widow, you can be the Scarlet Witch, anybody from Infinity War, check it out. You can be that hero. It's really, really cool. Also, it's got some really cool weekly events that come up that are written by actual Marvel writers, and there's some cool tournaments. It's even got a really cool alliance feature that allows you to ally yourself with like a lie, like don't mean not like a lie, don't tell a lie. That's not a good thing. I, Butch Hartman, will not tell lies here, I promise you. I'm telling the truth. This is a very cool game. Click on the link in the description below. Get the game. It's absolutely free. Marvel Puzzle Quest. You guys can join me in my alliance as I fight Ultron, Doctor Doom, and a bunch of other really bad Marvel guys. And hey, right now, I'm gonna go be Iron Man. Oh, but wait, okay, year 2, here we go. All right, so my second year, I did a film, again, about a little boy. It's called Petey and the Wolf, and Petey and the Wolf was about a kid who was building a little house made of blocks, and then this wolf comes in and sees the kid. He comes in, he kicks the kid's little house over and spends like the next 2 minutes laughing. And then the wolf realizes that the kid is sad. And so I have this really sad music come in, and I grabbed some Charlie Brown music, which of course I was a student, so I could use whatever music I wanted to. Couldn't do that now, I would get sued. But use the music, and the sad music, the wolf kind of helps the kid rebuild the house, and the kid's really grateful, and the wolf's like, thanks, and thanks for helping me be a better person. And the kid looks up at him, they smile at each other, then the wolf kicks it over again and begins to laugh again. It was just, the wolf's just an evil jerk. So anyway, that was my second year film. And in my third year at Cal Arts, I didn't make a film. I was all set to make a film at Cal Arts for my third year, and it was going to be based on the song by the Stray Cats, Stray Cat Strut. Black and orange stray cats sitting on the fence. I'll sing the whole song. Anyway, I was going to do that as my third year film because I'm like, I'm good at sound now. Because with sound films back in the day when I was animating, when you're doing animation just on your own, no sound, it's no problem. You're timing it any way you want. But when it's timed to dialogue or an actual song, you've got to get all of your soundtrack done. It's got to be transferred to exposure sheets, which are these big giant sheets of paper broken into little lines, and each one of those lines is a frame of film. You time out your animation that way. If it's all done to a song, you have to time it out to the song. Anyway, sounds like a nightmare, and it kind of is. But I had to learn to do all that stuff. So I was going to do my third year film and ended up getting a job at Don Bluth Studios working on Americantale. I worked on Americantale as an in-between animator on that movie, and it was a great experience. I'll do another video about Americantale later on, but this is about Marvel. I'm just giving you the lead up to the Marvel thing. Anyway, ended up, because of my second year film, everyone would do a film, and at the end of the year, they would have a big show at Cal Arts called the Producer Show. So the Producer Show is at the end of the year, and all these producers from Hollywood would come to see our films. This producer from Marvel Productions comes and sees my film and offers me a job after the show. This is like in May of 1986, I think. In fact, I didn't even get approached by the guy. A friend of mine came and told me, hey, so-and-so really liked your film. He wants you to call him. So I got a card. Oh my gosh, Marvel Productions. It had Spider-Man's face on it. This is back in the 80s. Spider-Man was huge even then. So I call this guy at Marvel Productions and he's like, hey, I really loved your film. I'd love you to work on our brand new show. I'm like, this is fantastic. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So now I leave school after my 3rd year because I didn't go to my 4th year. I didn't have enough money to go for my 4th year, unfortunately. I don't think you really need 4 years of college if you're going to be an artist. If you can draw, you should be able to get a job. But if you find yourself not having enough money, just make sure your talent is there, because all that matters is your talent. If you can't draw, no one's going to hire you if you have a degree. I try to discourage you from going to school, but I am trying to encourage you to work on your gifts. Okay, anyway, so I get hired to work at Marvel Productions, and they hire me to be a character designer on the show. And I was a very good character designer, I thought, at the time. And so I think I'm going to be coming in to do character designs. And so I spend the whole first week or 2 doing character designs, and then they moved me over to storyboards. I should tell you what the show is right now so you'll understand. You know, here I am all excited thinking, I'm gonna go work at Marvel Productions. I get to work on Spider-Man and the Hulk and Captain America and Iron Man. This is gonna be so cool, I can't wait. The show I got hired to work on at Marvel Productions in the 1980s was My Little Pony. That's right. No. Oh no, take those pictures away. It wasn't the good My Little Pony that's on right now. I'm talking about the terrible My Little Pony from the mid-1980s. I worked on that show, and it was one of the hardest experiences of my life because, number one, it was something I hadn't designed myself. You'll learn this very quickly as a student. You spend your entire student years working mostly on your own stuff, all the time. And when you get a job having to work on someone else's stuff, that's when your skill set has to be elevated up a level because you're now no longer working on your own stuff with your own approval process. You're having to go through someone else's approval process. And some of you out there are super talented and can do it, no problem. I wasn't one of those people. I really had to struggle a little bit. In fact, I struggled a lot on My Little Pony because it was drawn in a style that I really didn't draw in. It was drawn in a much softer style, a much more rounded 3-dimensional style. I had drawn everything flat and hard-edged and really angular and stylized. And if you look at Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom, all my shows, you'll see that's my style. But My Little Pony wasn't like that. And back in the 1980s, all the cartoons back then were based on toys. My Little Pony, Strawberry Shortcake, Muppet Babies, all those type of shows were being made into cartoons because that's where the money was. And so I'm working on My Little Pony. I'm a character designer for a bit. I got to design some other characters besides the ponies. But when they put me on storyboards, that's when I really realized how hard this job was because I had never really done storyboards for anyone but me. And these writers on My Little Pony, for some reason, put every single pony in every single episode. I don't know, every single shot. 20 ponies walk here, 20 ponies walk there. There were so many ponies. I didn't realize until later on in life when I was writing my own scripts that a lot of these writers didn't really seem to care about the animation process. They were writing, but I think they were writing just to get the script done. They weren't really realizing how hard it was to draw what they were writing. I used a lot of those lessons to implement them into my shows later on. Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, TUFF Puppy, Bunsen. I realized, look, writers have to write so the artists can draw it. Yes, writers have to have a good story, but the artists have to be able to interpret it. You can't write something impossible for artists to draw. So I'm doing the storyboards, and I just couldn't get the storyboards right. I wasn't drawing them well. I wasn't getting them done in time. They were asking us to stay extra hours to work. I had never known that concept before. I've got to stay extra hour. I just didn't know. So it definitely was my fault. I couldn't do the show. I got very self-defeated, and I failed, and I got fired off of My Little Pony. I was fired from My Little Pony, that's right. And I really learned a lot from that. I learned that, number one, I've got to learn how to draw things that I don't design. Number two, I've got to become a better storyboard artist. I'd never done it before, so I started learning those skills. It really taught me I need to up my skill set level. I'm trying to encourage you guys to up your skill set level as well. So I got fired from My Little Pony. Not only could I not draw the ponies or do storyboards very well, but I kind of, well, I won't say I was a troublemaker, but I was curious. I was curious about things. For example, there was a script that came through once about the ponies, of course. And, you know, in My Little Pony, some of the ponies have little unicorn horns, some have wings, they can fly, some have nothing, they're just regular ponies, and I felt really bad for those ponies. Anyway, I'm reading this script for My Little Pony, and I saw the storyboard. So there's a scene where one of the ponies with wings is hanging off of a cliff, and she's going, "Help, help!" And she has wings. She could fly away and just be safe. I went to the producer, I'm like, why is the winged pony calling for help when she could just fly away? And they were like, well, you know, you really shouldn't ask about the writing. That's really not your place. And then I was sort of, you know, scuttled away and put back into my cubicle. So I don't think they like me asking questions too much. That was not really good. So I always vowed later on in life when I had my own show, if I ever had my own show, that if anyone had a question about the writing, I should take that as, hey, there's a problem with the writing. Maybe we should look into this more. So anyway, that's kind of where the quality control aspect of Fairly Odd Parents came in later on. And so I lost that job, but I ended up getting another one at a place called Ruby Spears Productions, and they were making shows like Police Academy, the Punky Brewster cartoon show. They'd made the show Fang Face in the 70s, and they used to work for Hanna-Barbera. Joe Ruby and Ken Spears worked for Hanna-Barbera. In fact, they created Scooby-Doo for Hanna-Barbera. Then they formed their own company, Ruby Spears Productions, and I'll talk all about that in another video. So long story short, I worked at Marvel Productions. I thought I would be doing superheroes, but I ended up drawing super ponies and didn't really succeed. But I sure learned a lot. For many years, I was very upset about that situation because I knew I had failed, and I was very mad at myself. But as the years went by, I realized it was really God teaching me. Now, God didn't fire me at all, but what God will do, God will use any bad experience in your life and turn it into a good one. If you follow Him, He'll take that bad experience and He'll always use it for His own glory. So I got to glorify God through this situation because God said, okay, Butch, this situation happened, but I'm going to use it for a good thing because you're going to learn a lot from it and be able to apply it in a few years with your own work. Heart fans, what's up? Butch Hartman here. So glad you're here. Don't forget we do videos 3 times a week now. Mondays, Wednesdays, and fun days. Kidding, I held up 4 fingers and said 3. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. It's fun. You get to hit something. That'll be a blast. Okay, hey, Disney Studios. I worked at Disney Studios. Here's the odd thing about Disney Studios for me. Obviously, we all know Disney, right? I'm a huge Walt Disney fan. I kind of put Walt Disney up there as one of my major league idols. Growing up as a kid, I obviously idolized Disney because when I grew up, there really was no streaming internet entertainment service where you could get anything you wanted any time of the day or night. When I grew up, if you missed a show on TV, you missed it. It wasn't on anymore. For example, like the Charlie Brown Christmas special. We all know the Charlie Brown Christmas special. Christmas time is here. Love the Christmas special, but if you missed the Christmas special, you missed it. It didn't like repeat. It didn't come on. You didn't have a videotape. You couldn't go to the internet and watch it again. If you missed the Charlie Brown Christmas special, it was done. And so that's the era I grew up in. So there was a show on when I was a kid called The Wonderful World of Disney. It was on Sunday nights, and Walt Disney himself would host it. Actually, when I grew up, Walt Disney was already passed away, so he didn't host it anymore, but it was still on. And if you missed Walt Disney, The Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday nights, that was it. You had to wait till it came around again, or they repeated it, which was hardly ever. So the thing about The Wonderful World of Disney, they wouldn't show animation on it that often. They wanted you to, pay to see it in the theater. But every once in a while, they would show something very, very cool. They would show like Lady and the Tramp, the whole thing, or they would show behind the scenes at the studio. And I would just be, riveted because I couldn't wait to see it again. And so I made sure I was right in front of that TV. So Disney meant a lot to me growing up. Obviously, I never went to Disneyland growing up because I'm from Michigan. In Michigan, if Disneyland is here, Michigan's here, and I was a kid and couldn't walk that far. So I couldn't get to Disneyland. When I finally got to California, when I was 18 years old to come to Cal Arts, a school founded by Walt Disney, it was thrilling. I was so excited to get into Cal Arts, to become an animation student, to learn from some of the greatest Disney animators of all time. Hal Ambro was one of my teachers growing up. There was a guy named Bob Winquist who was also one of my teachers, and just had a great time. I even worked in the famous room A113. That's the room number that's in most of the Pixar movies. So A113, I was there. You could have called it B113 for Butch 113, but we'll make another room someday there. But anyway, A113, I was in there, and some of the top guys in the industry were my classmates. I mean, we were all in school together, but then we all got out of school and just started making our imprint on the animation industry. I went to school with Kirk Wise, who directed the animated version of Beauty and the Beast, the original one. Went to school with Kevin Lima, who directed the animated Tarzan and the movie Enchanted, live action movie, great movie. Also went to school with Andrew Stanton, obviously of Pixar fame, wrote and directed Finding Nemo, and just was a huge part of Toy Story and just really building the entire Pixar brand. So I went to school with a lot of very talented people. Rob Minkoff, director of The Lion King, and just really got to know a lot of these guys. And I got to immerse myself around all this great talent. And I encourage all of you, if you want to be something in the creative industry. If you want to be a writer, director, producer, musician, whatever it is, make sure you surround yourself and immerse yourself with people that do what you do. You know, if you want to be a baseball player, you hang out with baseball players. You want to be a guitar player, you hang out with guitar players. You want to be a writer, director, producer, you hang out with those people that aspire to do that sort of thing. Anyway, okay, so Disney. So it's my first year of CalArts, and we have to make, and our assignment was to make an animated film. That was our year-long assignment. By the end of the year, you had to have at least a 2-minute animated film done. And it only had to be a pencil test. That means it's only in pencil. No color, no nothing, no sound even. First year, no sound. Just a film. And so my film, for some reason, I really got into the movie Pinocchio at the time, the original Walt Disney version of Pinocchio, which is one of my all-time favorite animated films. It's just the way they did it, for the technology they had back in the 1940s, to produce a movie of that level at the time is just epic. I mean, not only the character designs, but the storytelling, the background art, the animation, not only of Pinocchio and his friends, just the evil guy Honest John, and then the whale Monstro at the end. That was also the first introduction of the multiplane camera. Multiplane camera was this giant camera, about 20 feet tall, I think, and it had, back in the day, before computers, if they wanted something to look three-dimensional, like if you wanted to push in on like let's say some kind of a house in the middle of a field, you wanted all the background elements to kind of go forth beforehand and give that sort of a three-dimensional feel. You had to use the multiplane camera and put cell levels stacked on top of each other, and then the camera could really push in and look through all these cell levels, and it would appear very, very deep, and it would look very cool. But anyway, Pinocchio's got a friend named Lampwick, and for some reason, my freshman year at CalArts, I really got into the design of Lampwick. He was designed by the great Freddie Moore, who was a great animator back in the day, early days of Disney, and Freddie Moore designed Lampwick, and so I love the design of Lampwick. So when I did my animated film at CalArts, I designed a kid that looked just like Lampwick. And so my animated film at CalArts was about a little boy who goes into a library and gets a book on Dracula. He opens it up and the book turns into a bat, and that's basically the entire story. And then he ducks away from the bat book, and then he runs away. And that's pretty much all it was. That was my storytelling ability at the time. I never animated a full film before that, and coming from Michigan, where I had to use my own stop-motion Super 8 camera and my own desk with a little frame clicker. This is the height of early 1980s technology, I'll have you know. To get to CalArts, where they actually had animation video cameras and things, was epic. Anyway, I'm at CalArts, I'm doing my freshman year, doing my freshman film, and I didn't know this, but at the time, CalArts had a program where they would take students and give them a 1-month internship at Disney Studios over the summer. So my first year of CalArts is ending, and it's the end of my freshman year, and they chose 2 of us for this internship. And what it was we had to go to the Disney. We had to go to Disney. Had to go to the Disney Studios in Burbank. I had to go there 5 days a week for 4 weeks. They were developing The Great Mouse Detective at the time, which at the time was called Sherlock Mouse or something like that. I forget what it was called. Great Mouse Detective. And then they were working on Roger Rabbit. And they were just animating this incredible animation. I was so intimidated. These guys were just so good. And I got to watch all these pencil tests of Roger Rabbit and all these other things. One of the coolest parts of being an intern at Disney Studios at the time was we got to go, since we were Disney employees, we had access to this place at Disney Studios called the Morgue. And the Morgue is where they put all the animation from all the films. Every drawing, every cell, maybe not every cell, but every drawing, every background, every animated scene, every concept art piece, everything. They put it in this room or rooms called the Morgue, and you have access to the Morgue. And so I couldn't wait. So I would go down into the morgue all the time, but you couldn't take anything out of the morgue. You had to stay in there and look at it. So one of my favorite moments I remember was looking at a scene from Lady and the Tramp. It's at the end of the movie where it's raining and Tramp's being taken to the dog pound, and the other dogs know he's going to be put to sleep. So the other dogs chase the dog wagon, and they're trying to scare the horses into having the wagon fall over. And the camera is underneath this wagon, and there's the wagon, there's all the parts of the wagon, there's the mud, there's the horses underneath. This is all underneath. Now, this is all hand-drawn stuff, no computers at the time. And the 2 dogs running alongside and Tramp inside, and I got to look at this thing. And the pieces of paper they worked on were probably 12 feet long, every piece of paper, and I could barely flip it. You had to like be at a table and flip it just to look at the animation. But the work that went into this showed me that either I was going to die trying to do this or I was going to accomplish it somehow. Now, to this day, I've never been an animator at that level, but I did realize I really wanted to stay in animation because it was so inspiring. It was so exciting, and that was really fun. And we had our own little room, our own desk, and we got to make our own animated film. It was so cool. We had to make a short animated film. So this is my second film I've ever made now. So I'm going to make my second animated film ever, and I decided to make it about a little alien, little blobby alien guy with 2 arms, 2 legs, and little antennas. And basically he comes in, again, this is no sound either. He comes in, he finds a trumpet, doesn't know what it is, and pokes around the trumpet, doesn't know, and he finally gets to blow a giant music note out of it, and he drops it because he's scared of it. He looks at it, he finally understands it, and then he eats it. And that's the end of the piece. And I only saw it one time. I animated it. They filmed it for me professionally on 35mm film. It was a big, giant film like this. And for the life of me, I can't find it. If you guys can find it out there, if anyone out there has my short film from my internship at Disney in 1984, someone please let me know. I'm going to draw the character for you. And here's some of the drawings right now. This is what the alien looked like pretty much. And he just picked up the trumpet, and here's what the trumpet looked like. I was really playing with style. You can see a little bit of the Fairly Odd Parents style in these drawings right here. But anyway, so we did our animated film, and it was great. And then CalArts went by, and I always thought I was going to work at Disney. I thought that would be my career. I thought I'm going to be a Disney animator for the rest of my life, and I never really worked at Disney. So anyway, that was an epic moment for me at Disney Studios, just looking at that Lady and the Tramp stuff. And of course I got to look at a ton of other scenes. One of my other favorite movies is Peter Pan, and I looked at a ton of Peter Pan stuff. Just the animation of Peter Pan, a lot of the milk call animation that he did, just the way Peter would float and just the way he would fly. In fact, if you look at Danny Phantom and compare it to Peter Pan, you can see how much inspiration I got from Peter Pan when I would do all the Danny Phantom flying stuff. So, little inside story for you there. Okay, guys. Hey, well, that's my epic story of working at Disney. I had such a blast. It was a tremendous memory for me. I would still love to somehow be involved with Disney Studios. That's one of my Disney stories. I have others. In fact, I have a very big story about how I was involved with the movie Pocahontas. So if you want to hear about that, leave a comment down in the comment section below. I was involved in Pocahontas, but not as an artist. So figure that one out. All right, guys, thanks so much. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's awesome when you do that. And as always, art gives you power. Use it wisely. Hey, Heart fans, subscribe here to keep up with me, Danny, Timmy, Dudley, Bunsen, and the NOOG Network, my new app full of cartoons, shows, and games. Download it here. Click over here to watch my most recent video, and here to start a playlist related to this video. Whoa, check out that awesome fan art. To be featured here, use hashtag HeartFanArt and tag me. I'm on every social media platform known to man. Cartoon Butch out. Pencil drop.